At 25, he was already tired of breathing. By the time he turned 25, he wasn't angry at life anymore. He was tired of it. Not the dramatic kind of tired. The quiet kind. The kind where you wake up and already feel late for a future that never showed up. His friends called it a rough phase. His family called it lack of effort. But nobody talked about the truth. Some people don't fail because they don't try. They fail because they try alone for too long. That night, he sat in his car, parked under a flickering streetlight, wondering how his life had shrunk this much. Dreams don't die, they just get humiliating. He once believed he'd be someone, not famous, not rich overnight, just respected. But somewhere between unpaid bills, silent rejections, and fake smiles, his dreams started feeling embarrassing, like something he should have outgrown. Every scroll on his phone reminded him. Everyone else figured it out. And then came the thought he hated the most. Maybe this is all I'll ever be. That's when he stopped talking about the future. Women noticed the silence first. She noticed it before he said a word. The way he avoided eye contact. The way his laugh sounded rehearsed. The way he stayed quiet when people talked about what's next. She didn't ask him to explain. She didn't push motivation quotes. She stayed. Women understand something the world ignores. Silence is often louder than pain. That night, she sat next to him and said softly, "You don't look lazy. You look exhausted." And for the first time in months, he felt seen. The call he wasn't waiting for. At 11:47 p.m., his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost declined it. Life hadn't brought good news in a long time. Why would tonight be different? But something made him answer. "Hey," the voice said calmly. "I know this sounds random, but I think you're about to give up. And you shouldn't." His chest tightened, because nobody was supposed to know that. One sentence that changed the direction. The voice continued. "You're not behind. You're just early to a life that hasn't opened yet." That sentence didn't fix him, but it cracked something open. The call lasted 6 minutes. No promises. No miracles. Just one truth. Giving up feels logical right before things change. Growth feels uncomfortable. Asking for help bruised his pride. He'd spent years pretending he didn't need anyone. That independence cost him more than he admitted. Someone showed him a better way. No judgment. No attitude. Just guidance. That night, he realized growth wasn't painful because it was hard. It was painful because it forced him to unlearn shame. She saw the change before he did. He didn't notice it at first. She did. The way he talked with more clarity. The way he didn't apologize for existing. The way his shoulders didn't slump when things went wrong. "You're standing differently," she said. He laughed it off. But later, alone, he stood in front of the mirror and saw it too. Something inside him was straightening up. The past tried to pull him back. An old friend called. Same stories. Same complaints. Same energy. For a moment, he felt that familiar comfort of staying small. But then he felt something else. Distance. Not anger. Not judgment. Just growth. He ended the call kindly, but firmly. That version of life no longer fit him. The truth about momentum. Momentum didn't feel like excitement. It felt like responsibility. Waking up tired but going anyway. caring even when no one was watching. He realized something most people never say out loud. Success isn't loud, insecurity is. And slowly, quietly, his life started responding to his consistency. The setback that felt personal. The setback didn't arrive like a warning. It came disguised as routine. A project he worked on for weeks didn't land the way it was supposed to. The numbers were off. The feedback was quiet, too quiet. He knew that silence. It was the kind that used to mean you're done. His chest tightened. His mind raced back to every moment he'd failed before. For the first time since the phone call, he felt that familiar urge to disappear. When fear sounds like logic. That night, fear started sounding reasonable. Maybe this was luck. Maybe they'll realize you're not enough. Maybe leaving now will hurt less. Fear is dangerous because it pretends to be practical. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the floor, replaying every mistake. Then his phone buzzed. Not the caller. Her art. She didn't try to fix him. She didn't rush in with solutions. She didn't say, everything will be okay. She said, whatever happens, don't abandon yourself. That line hit harder than motivation ever could. Women understand something deep. When a man is struggling, he doesn't need fixing. He needs permission to stay. The choice nobody applauds. The next day, he walked in early. No announcement. No drama. He reviewed the work. Owned the mistake. Fixed what he could. Nobody clapped. Nobody noticed. But inside him, something shifted. This was the choice that separated who he was from who he was becoming. The night after the call. After the call ended, he didn't move. The car engine was still running. But he felt frozen, not hopeful, not excited, just awake. For months, life felt like it was happening to him. That night, it felt like life paused, waiting for his response. He leaned his head back and stared at the roof of the car, thinking about the last time someone believed in him without needing proof. That call didn't promise success. It promised possibility, and possibility was dangerous, because it gave him something to lose again. Morning hits different when you don't quit. The next morning didn't come with motivation. No sudden confidence, no movie-style glow-up. But he got out of the car. That alone felt like a decision. He showered, dressed in the same old clothes, and looked at himself in the mirror longer than usual. Just don't disappear today, he whispered. Sometimes survival isn't about winning. It's about showing up one more time. The first step felt small and embarrassing. The opportunity from the call wasn't glamorous. Temporary work, low pay, high expectations. Part of him felt ashamed for being relieved. But another part, the quieter one, understood something important. Beginnings rarely look like breakthroughs. He walked into that building knowing nobody cared about his past, his age, or his struggles. All that mattered was what he did next. She didn't celebrate. She grounded him. When he told her about the job, she didn't overreact. No, I told you so. No big celebration. She smiled and said, good, now protect this chance. Women know that real support isn't hype. It's grounding. That night, she reminded him to eat, to rest, to not burn himself out, trying to prove he deserved the opportunity. And that care mattered more than applause. The fear of failing again. By the end of the week, the fear came back. What if this was temporary? What if he messed it up? What if hope hurt more than giving up? He almost didn't go in on Friday. But then he remembered the voice from the phone call. Don't quit on days that aren't permanent. So he went, not confident, not fearless, just committed. The first real test, by the third week, the pressure finally showed up. Not loud, not dramatic, just expectations. People started relying on him. Deadlines mattered now. Mistakes weren't invisible anymore. One afternoon, he froze. The task was simple, but his mind went blank. That old fear whispering, you don't belong here. His hands shook slightly. This was the moment that usually ended things for him. But instead of walking away, he asked for help, and nothing collapsed. Strength without noise. Weeks later, the setback barely mattered. What mattered was how he handled it. Trust slowly returned. Responsibilities grew. He realized something most people never learn. Real strength doesn't need witnesses. And for the first time in years, he trusted himself again. The opportunity that felt too big. The opportunity didn't come with excitement. It came with weight. More responsibility. More eyes on him. Less room for mistakes. When they offered it, his first instinct wasn't gratitude. It was fear. Because this wasn't survival anymore. This was visibility. And visibility meant being seen clearly, without excuses. Outgrowing the old version of life. With progress came distance. Old habits didn't fit. Old conversations felt shallow. Even the car he once slept in now felt like a reminder, not a refuge. Growth doesn't always feel like happiness. Sometimes it feels like grief. You mourn the version of yourself that survived when you didn't know better. The conversation that changed everything. One quiet night, he finally said it out loud. "I'm scared of becoming someone you won't recognize." She didn't hesitate. "I've been waiting for you to become him," she said. Not because she wanted him different, but because she always saw who he could be. Women don't fall in love with potential. They fall in love with effort becoming reality. When the city starts saying your name, his name began circulating. Not loudly. Not online. In rooms where decisions were made, people didn't talk about where he came from. They talked about what he delivered. The city didn't crown him. It acknowledged him, and that acknowledgement changed how doors opened. Power without ego. He didn't chase validation. He chased consistency. The louder the world got, the quieter he stayed. Because he remembered what it felt like to have nothing, and how fragile progress could be. True power, he learned, is calm. The call that changed everything revealed. Weeks later, he finally asked, "Why me? Why that call?" The voice on the line chuckled. "You reminded me of myself at 25. I didn't call to fix you. I called to give you a mirror." He realized the phone call wasn't luck. It was intentional. Someone believed in him when he couldn't believe in himself. Sometimes life doesn't save you. It gives you someone to remind you why you're worth saving. Standing on the edge of recognition. By now, his work was noticed. The city, the clients, the industry people were paying attention. He still didn't make noise. He let results speak. Standing in those rooms, he felt a strange mix. Fear of being judged. Excitement of being acknowledged. And gratitude for the silent support she gave him. Women see the unseen work, and she saw every quiet sacrifice he made. Emotional payoff. One evening, she said, "I always knew you'd make it, not because you were lucky, but because you kept showing up even when no one cared." He looked at her and realized it wasn't the city that flipped his life. It was her belief, unwavering. Sometimes the loudest victories are shared quietly. Owning the city wasn't literal. It was influence, impact, control over his path. Doors that were once closed opened. People who ignored him now sought his insight. The same city that overlooked him now respected him. And he knew. Power isn't loud. Legacy isn't a headline. It's quietly commanding respect after proving yourself in silence. The truth nobody talks about. Here's the truth. Most success stories start unseen. Most people give up too early. Most women who believe first remain invisible. He didn't get here because of luck. He got here because he survived the quiet desperation. He kept showing up. He let the right person remind him he was worth it. And she didn't just support him. She believed in him before anyone else did. She believed first. And that made all the difference.